they party. They like to dance there, unlike Toronto, which is very stiff and rigid.
Wow.
That's why the ladies love Toronto.
Well,
they love Toronto guys in Montreal.
go where you're wanted.
Exactly.
You're always more valuable when you come from someplace else. From somewhere else. Oh my gosh, that's amazing.
You're not doing it out of your mom's basement anymore? You've hit the road?
Right. Isn't that someplace else enough for you?
Oh, strange traveler, tell me about your distant land.
Yeah, yes, exactly. But
That's a good way to start this show, actually.
Yes, but wait, first, play a song I can dance to. and then we can talk.
As you notice, we have a strange traveler from a distant land. He travels, but we just think of him as a traveler because the show's in America. And, we're in the United States of America. He's in America, too, but not America. He's in North America.
North America.
Yes.
This is Sam. Everybody knows Sam?
Yeah, Sam Fleming. You might be familiar with him. He's been on the speaking circuit, actually. He's been spoken at a lot of different conferences.
Right.
Talked a lot about, which I'm really excited to talk about, too, is talking about kind of like turntabling and really getting back to the roots. And it's really funny to think that that's back to the roots. Well, that's a term. Like you have to actually make yourself distinct. You're not just a disc jockey anymore. Because it's like with computers and all the technology, you have to be distinct. No, wait, I do it like we did when we started.
Well, and it doesn't by
spinning vinyl,
right? And they didn't give it a classy word when I was doing it. It wasn't. Oh, look, he's a turntablist. Look, he's a DJ.
Yeah.
So when we went to computers, I was like, well, I'm gonna lose myself in this. I don't know how to do anything except for, cue up. Wait, have a good quarter turn, wait, or sometimes a full revolution before I get to all of that stuff you take into consideration when you turntable, when you're a turntablist. I didn't even think of it. It's fancy. Now, so few people even know what a turntable is. You mean a record player? Yeah.
Although vinyl is having a little bit of a comeback. When it's the only thing they're selling back in the music section at Barnes & Noble, that tells you something.
Well, one of the things that Sam does really well is he puts himself apart by being able to and promoting himself as a turntablist at these events. Oftentimes, I'm sure to young people that are not even sure what the heck that means. So my first question to you, Sam, would be...
Oh, wait. Welcome to the Bill and Jason Show,
yeah.
The show where we bring guests on and then talk about them like they're not even here during the entire time.
I totally heard that.
Say hi, Sam.
Hi, Sam.
Sam is from Toronto, Canada.
Welcome to the show.
Yeah.
And the first question is...
Oh, well, what made you choose to do this in a world where everyone is not doing it anymore? In a world where it's tough to even find the equipment to do it and do it really well, when everybody has it digital, what made you go and find yourself a stylus and vinyl and promote yourself that way? And 3 pennies sitting on the head.
I never stopped, really, is what it was. And Serato and the digital, the digital ways of playing back did make it able for me to quit my job at the music store and go full time because I was able to play a wider range of open format stuff. Mm-hmm. But I started with hip hop and then, everything that hip hop sampled, so funk and disco and reggae and rock and all that. But
right.
as I got more digitally, you can still use turntables to play the digital stuff as well. But as time went on, and I think DJ in some ways is getting cheapened because it's so easy for people to play. So it's an easy way for me to show quality. Especially at the top of an event when it's still light out and people can see that the laptop's closed or that it's not even there and that you actually bought the music. They can see that you've invested in the art and it's not just it looks like you're checking your email all night with a laptop in your face like that.
That's why you wear headphones. That's the only way that they know we're working.
Yeah, or put the laptop on the side. But yeah, it never went away, and some people think that it did, and especially in the downtown areas, and especially if you're into a type of music like house or hip hop or something that's, the cultural tastemakers and the bands, from Jack White on down, even rock and roll bands, they know to get a 7-inch or a 12-inch pressed is to get respect in the industry with other people that, vinyl isn't necessarily better. It's just a thing that people are into.
Well, and did you have to go out and explain that? I mean, as a person in the industry, I get what you're saying. But do you have people looking for you because of that? Or do you sit across from somebody who's looking for what exists now and then you show them a different way? How does that conversation go?
A bit of both. Some people do know what we do, and from club nights, like Mike is another one of my DJs who's here, and he's very much an expert in 50s and 60s, and he plays all the 7-inch records. Mm-hmm. And now the night is called Shindig, and he's been doing it for 5 years, but now people actually want Shindig-style weddings, where he doesn't play anything later than 1980. And it's all, he does even want Stax versus Motown. And in the city, he's made himself an expert at that kind of music. And now people actually want that at their wedding. They don't want your...
What a great idea. I mean, it's like...
creating demand.
It's a theme. You created a themed package, so it's like it's an experience that people can relate to as like, oh, I know what comes into that. I can relate to that. I like that experience of that. Plus, then adding the fact that he's actually playing vinyl and mixing that live, like adds to that. It becomes its own kind of nostalgic experience that has and that's been and that's taken off in its own demand. Like people they identify it, they like it, they go recreate that. Or do you still get like, hey, when are you going to whip out the Def Leppard?
A bit of both, yeah, but we always do a 2-person show, so the DJ's allowed to focus, and there's somebody always there on the side to be completely affable and accommodating without...
I like that.
Hey,
affable and accommodating.
Like, get away from me.
How to say no.
Can't you see I'm working?
Trained to say no 3,000 different polite, nice ways.
In a positive way, yes.
Right,
What's your name? Living on a prayer.
Motley Crue. Yeah, can I get you a drink?
Well, see that's your next speaking thing there. Going how to be a DJ and be affable. Trained by a Canadian DJ. They know affable. Come on,
right.
baby.
That's right. That's right.
That's the joke number 2 for the Canadians.
It is.
Thanks very much.
Yeah.
The burning question is though, even though you have a theme show like that, are you still able to get away with not playing "Raise a Little Hell" by Trooper?
Yeah, that one doesn't get requested up here that much.
What?
He tried for Canadian joke number 3.
I think it's like
and
central.
It wasn't that good.
Well, no. I think maybe that's a central Canada thing, right? Because it was huge. And I've talked to Eric Fryer was like, people love it up here. He was like, yeah, and it's like it was maybe that's a Winnipeg, North Dakota kind of parallel
maybe he was
thing.
just being affable,
or maybe he was just being really nice to me.
So part of the experience of having turntables is also the fact that your environment affects how the turntables will do their job. So when the needle gets bumped, or when something skips, or when people jump up and down in front of you, and all of a sudden things go to hell in a handbasket, they got to know ahead of time that may happen, and that's going to be part of the experience, right?
Oh yeah. There's a large man doing the river dance in front of me a couple weeks ago, and I was telling him to go stomp on the other side of the floor, kindly.
A large man doing the river dance.
Okay, if you keep bringing up the fact I'm coming to your events, I'm not going to do it anymore.
This is going to be the Sam Fleming
There's
school
2 of you
of affable, like describing things in a very positive way. I love it.
You don't say I can't do this. You say I haven't done it yet.
Yes.
Right. So now if somebody sits across from you and is looking to hire you, and they say, "Well, what about skipping? What about that? How do you talk to them about that?"
I guess they don't know to ask for it. I do tell them that I've built my own DJ table, because I have had 6-foot tables collapse on me at events, and I think probably about 3 times. And when you've got your laptop and an expensive mixer, and you got 10 grand worth of gear sliding onto the dance floor, it just gets to a point where I just build my own table, and I'm working on building another one that's more like old wood decor, so you can still see through to the DJ's feet that they're actually dressed in a suit and not just wearing socks back there. Mm-hmm. So having a sturdy surface even to play on, it's just, I'm consistently getting it at the height I want, just like a drummer kind of needs everything within ergonomic reach. Mm-hmm. Some people don't care for it, and they're just like, oh, set up on this flimsy bar thing that we have for you. They're like, okay, sure, but...
Do you do anything in terms of, well, first of all, is the fact that you're performing in this way something that you market to as being distinct, like a distinct choice, that people like, oh yeah, we've got a turntablist, not just a DJ, or you know what I mean?
Or do they come to you and distinguish you,
or do they just kind of find out about this after they've hired you because they heard that it was a great party and that sort of thing, or is it both?
Bit of both, and even some of our performers have a rate that's maybe 50% more for them to play vinyl. That they could come with a laptop and a controller at X price, but then there's a higher level show that just takes more work, takes more practice, takes more forethought, and more skill and attention on the day, and therefore comes in at a premium.
Sure, and they're like, oh, that appearance or that part of the show is something that they were like, well, we value that. That's definitely something we want to pay more for to be able to view that. Is then when you do that, do you highlight it in any way with like lighting or like the turntables lit up, or I mean, do you do anything to kind of show like, hey, we are doing this. This guy is doing this up here, or is it still a little bit more kind of like background kind of thing?
I think in some respects, it's for those that know, really appreciate it. And even if you only get 2 or 3 people in the crowd that appreciate what you're doing, those people go and be the cheerleaders. So just like when you open a book and you read the first page, if it hooks you, I think we can do that in entertainment. Something clever said on the mic, or we play a song that's a sample of another song so that the music heads will pick up on it. And if you just get a few of them early on, I think it just makes the rest of your night go easier. Decor-wise, I got 2 nice wooden crates, so they're not just in, it looks like the caterer is what has the plates in or something. It's like 2 nice wooden boxes, and then the 7 inches are kind of out front. So the laptop's closed, and some people will come up and they'll see the laptop and they'll go, oh, are you playing these 45s for real, or is it just for show?
Not amazing.
I'm doing
a little bit of both.
Yeah, right. Yeah. It's like, watch this.
So don't touch that.
Doing this for show, and it's for real.
Yeah, right. It's like, whoa, and they're like, mine just.
Some people actually think you're playing it back off the computer, and you're just miming the 45s just to fool most of the people most of the time.
It's like they're expecting an illusion. Like, that's for real? Like, you're really doing that?
My next trick.
Yeah, right? He's a magician. It's amazing.
Yeah. This is great. And we can't, before I let you go, I know that a lot of DJs also listen to our show, and they'll be listening to this going, well, I'd love to be able to do that. I think that's really great. But they're still using Serato or they're not planning on buying a bunch of vinyl tomorrow. So from a guy who has taken what we do and really studied it, because you need to study this craft to be able to pick up a piece of vinyl, put a needle down and do what you're doing. What can you teach a young man who is in the digital world that might be using give me one good piece of advice for that kid, and don't make it go buy some vinyl. The kid doesn't want to buy vinyl. He wants to use a Serato. So what would be the good piece of advice you'd give him right away?
For making more of the performance, I'm not really sure the question you're asking.
He likes to see what he's doing. And look, I'm using
Serato. To be a turntablist.
I'm a turntablist. Okay, I want to be really good at this without having to go to vinyl. What's your first big advice for me?
I'd say play a musical instrument, like maybe drums or keyboard or something, because I find a lot of the better DJs I know, they also can play or sing, and then some of the DJs that, are just maybe, they need to work on it a little bit. They don't know where to mix. It's just knowing the musicality of when to mix in the song. Some guys get caught into beat matching every song all night, and that gets tiresome as well. And there's other people that have never tried to beat match, just Billie Jean and Holiday, like something really easy that are already at the same tempo.
Right. I'm writing that down.
But if you play drums and you know how to count, or even if you're a good dancer and you know where the one is, you don't always have to beat match, but you just have to make that mix at the right time.
Right.
Yeah.
Really learn count, learn music.
So you're saying that those years of you on the French horn really helped out.
Trombone was my first.
That's just as geeky. I love that.
I got one more question for you. Yeah. Is in a lot of your presentations, you really go into, and one of the things I really enjoy is like really looking at like what is the whole history of this industry? Like where did we come from to actually arrive at what we're doing now, and how is what we're doing now not just different, but what traditions are we keeping forth and moving forward? And I really appreciate in your presentations the depth that you do, and you've talked a lot about being inspired by different people from the past and different performers and techniques and things like that. And I'm really curious about like what is that? If you could share like one thing or one instance that it did inspire you, and then what did that inspire you to either do or create, or how did that affect your performance and how you approach your art and skill?
Wow.
That was a really long
I've been thinking
question.
about like just looking at like who were the pioneers and the people that pushed out. So DJ culture, especially if coming from Jamaica and hip hop, is very competitive.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes it was just the size of the system, and I'm always blown away at a lot of mobile DJs. Obviously, it's a lot to take even a pair of speakers, but just having subwoofers and bass or something that make people dance.
Mm-hmm.
But then you've got a lot of venues that don't, they don't want to allow any bass anywhere near all the condos and residential around them.
Mm-hmm.
So looking at like Africa Bambaataa might be somebody who had that Jamaican culture, and even though he wasn't necessarily as skilled a DJ as, say, Grandmaster Flash, because they would actually do a sound clash with one sound on one side and the other sound system on the other, and they'd literally have a battle.
Wow.
That's just the history of how hip-hop and b-boying started, was from the Jamaican culture, right? So
yeah, they were the first mobiles.
Yeah.
Really?
Because they would drive around and just wheel up and set up.
Well, even looking at the history, is you see that the DJ could easily have come from 12 or more different professions themselves, and that over time I keep coming at it from different areas. Like I've got a lot of DJ gigs from being a sound guy and vice versa, or then lighting and radio and theater and comedy and all these different. So when you look even at the funny thing with wedding DJs and Jamaican DJs, they have a lot in common, because the DJ is the guy out front with a microphone. And then there's the mixers in the back, and the selectors, the guy picking the records, putting them away, and then there's another person that's just working the sound, maybe somebody else working the lights. So when we go out there solo, we got to realize that historically you're actually doing 4 or 5 jobs.
Yeah, right? I know. It's so like,
maybe
it's like
you
radio
need 4 or 5 paychecks for one night.
Absolutely. So if somebody's listening on this, they want to reach out to you as a mentor, or just have some questions, they want to know more about who you are, how can they reach out to you? Where can they find you?
You could just Google Evolved Entertainment. It's evolved with a D as in past tense, because we keep trying to get better. I go by F sharp, not G flat. And just look up Evolved Entertainment, send us a note there. I've got a whole bunch of DJ mixes and even one of my talks online on Mixcloud.
Yeah, that was a great talk. I tuned into that. That
outstanding.
Was
Yes, I have as well.
A lot of fun. Well, thanks so much for taking the time to come on the show and share with us. Thanks for tweeting out the show for us. You've been a great promoter, and we really value that and appreciate that, and think that you're pretty awesome.
And if you out there are hearing the show and you have questions about any of this, you can certainly reach out to Sam yourself. You can put comments down in the show. Tell more people about it and share it as much as possible. And of course, we'll see you next week on the Bill and Jason Show.
Broadcasting from high atop planet Earth at a rate of 96 kilobytes sampled per second over the interweb, in an effort to stop glorifying being busy. This has been an Entertainment Experience production.